Hey guys, so this is a video response to the user RavenPhoenix73. He's a person I recently subscribed to just a couple days ago. He made a video titled Atheists Need to Be More Militant, and in this video he just talks about a comment that was made on, I think it was his channel or video, from a user claiming that atheists need to be more militant. I completely agree with Raven Phoenix's viewpoint on this, which I don't think atheists need to be more militant. In fact, I don't think any religion, any belief, anything needs, I don't think you need to be militant. Let me just go back for a second. Atheistic, militant atheism, I should say. For those of you who don't know what militant atheism is, Wikipedia describes it as two things: engage in warfare or combat, fighting, two, aggressively active as in a cause. And then it goes on to say, British philosopher Julian Braggiani describes an atheistic active hostility to religion as a militant, and says hostility, quote-unquote, requires more than just a strong disagreement with religion. It requires something verging on hatred and is characterized by a desire to wipe out all forms of religious belief. To rephrase this, basically, this can be applied, militant can be applied to hundreds of different things. It's not just atheism. You can apply it to Christianity, you can apply it to Buddhism, you can apply it to Mormonism. Wiping out all forms of religious belief, this type of thinking is a thinking of, you don't think the way I think, therefore you need to be abolished, you need to be wiped out. This type of militant thinking, and I'm talking about militant atheism. Again, you can apply this to many different things. I'm not just talking about specifically only atheism. This can be applied to many different things, but having a hatred or a desire to wipe out all forms of religious belief simply because they don't think the same way you do, don't have the same beliefs you do, is absurd. And correct me if I'm wrong, I am not a history scholar about World War II or Adolf Hitler. Is this not the type of thinking Hitler had? This attitude that he needs to wipe out all religious belief, and that's why he killed thousands upon thousands of Jews. Again, I'm not an expert, so maybe he had some other motivation. Other than that, wasn't Hitler militant towards Jews, if I'm correct? And this user, Raven Phoenix, also brings up a point which I really agree with. He mentions the Christian user Shock of God, and I'm not going to flame Shock of God or slander him, but I completely agree. Shock of God, a Christian YouTuber, I believe has a very militant attitude, and essentially is a militant Christianity, I guess you could call it, where he's on YouTube, and he's only on YouTube to war, fight, and battle atheists, and he does that. The problem with Shock of God, though, this Christian militant, is he takes atheist videos and then mocks them, slanders them, calls them stupid, calls them ignorant, calls them whatever, and then he proceeds to go on with this horrible question, how can you prove that atheism is accurate and correct? Which is a stupid question to begin with. If you've seen Tool Time's video to Shock of God answering this question, or if you've even seen the Amazing Atheist addressing Shock of God's question, how can you prove that atheism is accurate and correct, you'll see that it's a pile of bull crap. And if you're a Christian and you don't see a problem with Shock of God's question that he asks atheists, but before then they can never give a response, especially on his talk show. For those of you who don't know, Shock of God does a talk show every week also. He has atheists call in on his show, and he talks over them 24/7, mocks them, calls them ignorant, stupid, on his live broadcasts and stuff, and he is what I would call a Christian militant. He's on YouTube for the only purpose to fight, wage war, and then slander and mock atheists. And I believe this type of attitude is wrong. Shock of God has made so many videos even claiming that he wants to convert atheists to Christianity. And he's always saying how atheists are always violent and evil people. And he's on YouTube to try to combat or wipe out the atheist community here on YouTube, which is never going to happen. My point in this video is just to explain that I don't think atheists need to be more militant. I don't believe any religion or any belief doctrine needs to be more militant, because militant typically comes with hatred, and with hatred comes abolishment of whatever. If people don't agree, if someone thinks differently than you, you just take a gun to their head and say, screw you, and blow their head off. I mean, that's what it is, essentially. I mean, instead of disagreeing and, having a civilized conversation and dialogue with someone about what they believe, you take it to the far level of hatred and trying to abolish and wipe them out from humanity. In fact, a great example of extreme militant attitude within religion, all you gotta do is open a history textbook or watch historical documentaries on the upbringing and start of Islam. The start of Islam. If you don't know anything about the start of Islam, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Islam started in 610 AD, their whole expansion is through violence, fear, and fighting. Islam back then expanded through this attitude, this perspective, this belief of militantism. They opposed anyone who disagreed with their doctrines, with their beliefs of Islam, and slaughtered thousands of people for it. I know someone's going to bring up, well, what about the Christian Crusades? And that's a valid point. I don't agree with the Crusades, but I'm using Islam as an example of their expansion, that they had a militant attitude, and that I believe Hitler had a militant attitude regarding his beliefs, that anyone who is a Jew or believes in God or whatever, that they need to be slaughtered, which I don't agree with. I don't agree that atheists need to be more militant. I don't agree that Christians need to be more militant, and I'm against any type of militant attitude, especially if you're going to be causing harm or especially hatred and wiping people out from the world. No, I won't agree with that. So those are just my thoughts. I'm just speaking off the top of my head here. Happy to hear your thoughts. I'm Mr. Repzion, also known as Daniel Sulzbach, and peace the rep out.